Deck Build Pack Wild Survivors is the latest in the Deck Build Pack series of side sets, introducing 3 new archetypes into the game of Yu-Gi-Oh! With the new Transcendrate cards giving Dinosaur a massive boost in power, and the Novella's archetype finally giving Hungry Burger the support it deserves, a lot of people are sleeping on the third archetype from this set, that being Vanquish Soul. Is this new fighting game inspired strategy able to roll with the punches, or will it join the pile of discarded deck build archetypes lost to time? What's going on, everybody? It's Generaider coming at you with a brand new video, and today I want to talk about an archetype that I'm really excited for, that being the Vanquish Soul archetype coming out of Deck Build Pack Wild Survivors. This is something that a lot of people aren't really looking at, or they kind of glanced over and they're just like, okay, it's just going to be like a casual kind of local sort of deck, and that can kind of be the case, but I think depending on the build and the pilot, this deck can have some serious potential. In a lot of the conversations, especially ones that I've had, we've come to the conclusion that this deck seems a lot like a deck like Salamangreat, for example, and that there's a lot of consistency, recursion, etc. However, the payoff isn't really all that too crazy. Your best in-archetype endboards for this deck end on like a Pot of Greed, maybe a non-targeting pop, and then like either a Mass Book or Bounce. And that doesn't really sound like much, but keep in mind that the power level since tier limit was hit on the ban list has dropped significantly, meaning that you don't really need as many disruptions most of the time in order to stop your opponent, so long as you're keeping up your resources as compared to theirs, and that's something that this deck absolutely excels at. For those that don't know, the main gimmick of this archetype is based on utilizing attributes, usually in hand. By revealing different attribute monsters in your hand, you can use a variety of different effects, with 2 on each of the monsters. Starting off with Vanquish Soul Raisin, that says on normal or special summon, you can add a non-warrior Vanquish Soul monster from your deck to your hand, and then as a quick effect, all of them have an effect to reveal either 1 attribute, or reveal 2 or even 3 different attributes for a different effect. So it says as a quick effect, you can reveal a monster in your hand for each listed attribute to activate one of the following effects. You can reveal a fire to make it unable to be destroyed by card effects this turn, or a fire and a dark to destroy all of the monsters in this card's column. And then keep in mind, you can only use 1 of these effects per turn. So Raisin is actually just the complete backbone of the entire archetype, so not only can he grab you any monster that you want, but to an extent, when we reach the Link monster, this can also technically get you any of the spells and traps as well. So this is like the card you really want to see in your hand, so much so that people are even running cards like, I think it's Infernoble Arms Durandal or something like that, the one that searches a Fire Warrior, and honestly, I can see why. If I had the room for it, I'd probably run it myself. When it comes to his reveal effects, I mean, not being able to be destroyed by card effects can end up being some decent protection, and then the Fire and Dark effect actually seems like it'd be really, really good, because you can get up to 2 pops, like if you include the extra monster zone, right? But you're not really ending on Raisin unless you brick, or you get like impermed, or like stopped in some other way, and you don't have any other way to play, but it is still a pretty nice effect, especially when you're going second. So next up is his counterpart, Vanquish Soul Dr. Madlove, and this is his counterpart because on summon, this adds a Vanquish Soul spell or trap from deck to hand, and you can reveal a Dark to make a face-up monster your opponent controls lose 500 attack and defense, and you can reveal a Dark and an Earth to return a face-up monster on the field with the lowest defense to the hand, your choice if tied. So on summon, obviously adding any Vanquish Soul spell or trap, really, really good. Your spells and traps are like the main source of your disruptions here, and while the Dark effect only is pretty terrible, I mean the stat reduction isn't gonna come up almost ever, the Dark and Earth effect can come up in a pinch because while it doesn't work against Link monsters, of course, it doesn't target, and it could potentially get rid of a really annoying monster. For example, this isn't really the best example actually because the deck sucks, but Rescue Ace, for example. It has targeting protection, I'm pretty sure, but it has really low stats, and so you can easily bounce that, and that turns off like all other plays. We also have 3 Vanquish Soul Panthera that says if you control no monsters in the main monster zone, you can special her from your hand, and you can reveal an Earth to make her unable to be destroyed by battle this turn, or an Earth and a Fire to destroy all spells and traps in this card's column. So first, before we get into anything else, why does she have like the mirror effects of Raisin for the reveals, but like doesn't have the search? Like, why doesn't Madlove have the special summon condition and then this search? I don't know. I'm not too sure. But anyways, being a free special summon is amazing in this deck, not to mention that you can easily search this off of Raisin and then link the Raisin off into their link 1, and that makes your main monster zones free again, so you can summon the Panthera. And the Earth effect isn't that great, but the Earth and Fire effect is huge, not just for back row matchups, but just against any deck that has any sort of strong back row, be it a continuous spell or trap, or, I mean, even a Floodgate or something like that. Like, this card can out things like Rivalry and Gozen, which can really hurt the deck, and so being able to free yourself from that pretty easily is really, really nice. I've seen a lot of people playing like at least a copy of Tenki and then like Tiger King or something in the extra deck in order to fetch the Tenki, just so they can get extra copies of this card. And I mean, like, if she did have Mad Love's Search effect instead, then I would absolutely see why, just like Raisin with Durandal, but other than that, I mean, Panthera isn't all too crazy of a card. I mean, she's good, don't get me wrong, but I wouldn't really warrant playing like a bunch of like potential later on bricks just to have more copies of her. We also have a Vanquish Soul Pluton HG, so it says during your opponent's turn, if you control no monsters in the main monster zone or only Vanquish Soul monsters there, you can special flip from your hand, and then you can reveal a fire to make it gain 3000 defense, or a dark and an earth to gain 3000 attack. So this card's kinda eh. It's obviously like the worst Vanquish Soul card, like basically in the entire archetype. However, you still play it because it's an additional fire target, and it is a free body, especially because in a pinch, not to mention it doesn't say main phase, it says during the opponent's turn, this could end up saving you from getting absolutely murdered, and again, free body on the field is great. Now onto the real boss monsters of the archetype, we have Vanquish Soul Heavy Borger, which I know it's supposed to be Cyborg, but I cannot get over Heavy Borger. But it says during the main phase quick effect, you can target a non-machine Vanquish Soul you control, bounce it, and then specialist from your hand, and you can reveal a dark to draw a card, or you can reveal an earth into fire to inflict 1500 damage to your opponent. So I know I said that Raisin was the backbone of the archetype, but Heavy Borger might as well be the entire skeleton, because this is by far the best monster in the entire deck. It has an insanely easy special summon condition, really nice stats overall. It can basically end up being a Pot of Greed by drawing on your turn, and then like your opponent's draw phase, which can draw you into hand traps, which are good in this deck. And the Earth and the Fire effect to burn for 15, technically 3k if you do the same thing as the draw effect. It's kind of crazy. Like, this has no bad effects on it at all. And like, usually you're going to be using this to bounce a Dr. Madlove after you summon the Madlove, so not only can this protect your things from Imperm, like if you summon a Raisin or a Madlove, this can bounce it in response to an Imperm to protect the effect, but also it gets the Dr. Madlove back into your hand, or even to an extent the Raisin back in your hand, so that you can use either of these effects, which can be really, really good. And then onto their actual boss monster, the thing that's actually on the cover of the pack. This is Vanquish Soul Kaiser Various. It has the same summon condition as Borger, except for a non-dragon instead of a non-machine. You can reveal an earth to make it unaffected by your opponent's activated effects this turn, and you can reveal an earth, fire, and a dark to destroy one other card on the field. So, funnily enough, Borger ends up being just a better boss monster than Kaiser most of the time. So I mean, don't get me wrong, Kaiser being 3k is probably the best part about him, and becoming a Towers is pretty damn nice, but having to reveal all 3 different attributes just for a non-targeting pop, when I mean, Raisin and Panthera kind of just do the same thing on command for much less cost, it just kind of feels like eh. I mean, maybe if it destroyed like 2, or to an extent even 3, or I mean, hell, maybe if you revealed, like, as many of each attribute as you could, and then for as many as that you revealed, each differently, like, up to 3, obviously, you could get, like, a separate pop. I think that would be really, really good. But it just ends up being kinda eh, and mostly just serves as a big body and an additional way to play through Imperm and have somewhat of a disruption. Those are the only Vanquish Soul monsters that we have so far, so onto some non-Vanquish Soul monsters. We have 2 copies of Castra Fenrir, so I know Fenrir's a bit, like, out of, like, the ordinary here, especially because we haven't seen Fenrir in a lot of decks since the Tier Limit era. However, it ends up being amazing in this deck, because not only is it a free Earth monster that also searches more of itself, it's a free giant body that also ends up being a disruption, which is really nice considering that the deck itself doesn't end on too many disruptions. So you usually end on like 1 to 2 different things in archetype, but this can end up extending your board to a little bit more threatening, so your opponent has more to deal with. And then of course, as I mentioned, hand traps are really nice in this deck. We have 3 copies of Ash and 2 copies of Ghost Bell, so these are just really good all around. I mean, Ash is a fire and Bell is an earth is the main reasons why we play them. Unfortunately, they went with Dark instead of Wind, so not only can we not make an Earth, Wind, and Fire reference, but we also can't play something like Ghost Mourner reliably. But like, these just end up being so good for allowing you to not only use them as hand traps, but also enabling your archetypal effects. Oh, and then of course 3 copies of Infinite Impermanence, because Infinite Impermanence. So I'm also playing 3 copies of Pot of Prosperity. This does conflict with Heavy Borger. However, it's just such a good card in an archetype that doesn't really need to use its extra deck that much. So, I mean, why would I not use this to dig for my 1-card starters? And then onto the Vanquish Soul back row. So, this is a card that was revealed after the initial wave that I actually covered on the channel. So, this is in the same set, and this is Stake Your Soul. It says reveal a monster in your hand to special a Vanquish Soul monster from your deck with a different name but the same attribute, but return it to the owner's hand during the end phase, and you can only activate 1 Stake Your Soul per turn. This card is insane. So not only are you specialing a free Vanquish Soul from your deck, this can get you access to a Raisin by revealing an Ash, a Dr. Madlove by revealing a Borger, a Kaiser Various by revealing a Ghost Belle or a Panthera. Like, not only are you flexing your hand traps on your opponent, but you're also getting your one card combos completely off. But on top of that, instead of like destroying or banishing or shuffling it back into the deck during the end phase, it bounces back to your hand, so that not only makes it good to reveal later, but also for a bunch of different effects that we'll get into in just a moment. Unfortunately, it's not a Vanquish Soul card by name, so you can't search it off of Madlove, which would have been amazing for the deck, but it still ends up being a very, very important card that you must play at 3. Next is the quick play spell Vanquish Soul Dust Devil. It says target a Vanquish Soul monster you control, change its battle position, then you can change face up monsters your opponent controls to face down defense position, up to the number of Vanquish Soul monsters you control with different names. So this is one of their main disruptions for the deck, so it does target your Vanquish Soul monster, but keep in mind it doesn't target your opponent's monsters, so you can get easily a mass non-targeting book, which is amazing against things that have protection, things like Red Eyes Dark Dragoon, which is really popular right now. It's also a really good thing to activate in a chain link because you have a few different ways of actually summoning Vanquish Soul monsters on the opponent's turn, so you can easily use this and then make your opponent not so much worried about it that they don't negate it, but then you start powering out a bunch of different cards that special summon Vanquish Souls to your side of the field, and so it ends up being a much stronger card than they may have thought. We also have 2 Vanquish Soul Continue. This is simple, pay 500 life points, target a Vanquish Soul monster in your grave, either add it to your hand or special it in defense position. This is a quick play spell, so you can use it during your opponent's turn. It allows you to either get the on-summon effects of Madlove or Raisin, get one of your boss monsters back out so you can use their effects, you can add them to your hand so you can reveal them or special summon them off of a different effect, and I mean, hey, it's just free recursion overall. We also have just 1 copy of Reinforcement of the Army to wrap up the spells. It does search Raisin, and I'm not playing the Durandal or anything, so just having 4 copies of him, not including Stake Your Soul or Prosperity, really nice overall. Another card that special summons Vanquish Souls on the opponent's turn, this is Vanquish Soul Trinity Burst. So this is their normal trap that says target a Vanquish Soul monster you control, special summon up to 2 Vanquish Soul monsters from your hand with different names from each other and different original attributes from the targeted monster. Their effects are negated and return them to the hand during the end phase, and then you can return all opponent's cards in that target's and the summon monster's columns to the hand. So this card has a few downsides, but some major advantages. So downsides end up being that you have to have a few different things in your hand that aren't just hand traps for your reveals, so you have to keep them in hand to reveal them off of certain things and then time this afterwards most of the time. And the biggest thing is that it does negate their effects, so you can't get like a cheeky Raisin or Madlove effect, but a potential bounce like 3 to 6 or god, even 8, now that I think about it, with extra monster zones, this can be insane. Not to mention, you can combine this with something like Dust Devil. Like, you can go Dust Devil effect to book stuff, and then use Trinity Burst to bounce even more problematic cards, maybe like Link monsters or something. You can just absolutely blow through your opponent's stuff as long as you just time your effects properly. One of the biggest things about this archetype is timing your effects. If you don't manage your timing properly, you're going to end up completely screwing yourself over. And then the final card in the deck, you know it, you probably hate it. We have 3 copies of There Can Be Only One, y'all. No one hates this card more than me, but we have a warrior, a fiend, a beast warrior, a zombie, a machine, a dragon, and a psychic. Like, why would you not play There Can Be Only One? This card's absolutely insane in the deck. For the extra deck, 3 of their Link 1 Raka Vanquisher. It requires a Vanquish Soul monster. It cannot be used as Link material. While you control a Vanquish Soul monster, your opponents must attack your highest attack monster. And during the main phase, you can either special a Vanquish Soul from your hand or add a Vanquish Soul from grave to hand. So this does so much for the deck. So as I mentioned earlier, we aren't ending on Raisin 9 times out of 10. That's because we're immediately linking him off into the Raka Vanquisher, and we're usually using the Vanquisher's effect to special a searched Madlove so that Madlove can add something like Dust Devil, giving Raisin a guaranteed disruption. On top of that, this can't use both effects in the same turn, but you can add something back like a Raisin or a Madlove or something like that from your graveyard that you use to link off into this, and then during your opponent's turn, you can special it from hand and get its effect to search once more, especially while turning Dust Devil even more live. We're also playing 1 each of Dark, Asa, and Hida. We are playing Darks, Earths, and Fires. Also, did I mention that there's no restrictions in this deck in terms of locking or anything? So you can just power through these and get into cards like Access Code, which we are absolutely playing. And we're also playing Nightmare Phoenix, Cerberus, and Unicorn. Again, really nice toolbox cards. The extra deck for this deck is just completely a toolbox other than Vanquisher. And then, of course, we have Access Code Talker to blow out our opponent's backs. Underworld Goddess of the Close Roll, because you can easily swarm the board, and the deck can kind of struggle against things like towers because you can only get so large between Kaiser Various and Access Code. And then we also are playing Baguska because, by the way, all of our low levels are level 4, so that's kind of crazy. We are playing Baguska to slow down the game state to our favor, Evil Storm Exciton Knight because it is just a free nuke, Divine Arsenal Zeus for another free nuke, And this is kind of a funny flex spot here. You can play something else here if you want, but I'm playing FA Dog Dragster. So again, the archetype doesn't end on anything too crazy, and especially when it comes to negates or anything. And so, especially if you're in a game 2 or 3 situation and you're scared of something like Evenly, a cheeky Dawn Dragster feels really funny, because yeah, you have to open Stake Your Soul in order to do it, but you can do it off of just Stake Your Soul and Ash, because all you need to do is Stake Your Soul, reveal Ash, summon Raisin effect to add something, normal summon the Ash, and then go into the Dawn Dragster. Now you have multiple spell and trap negates, of course not in one turn, but in general, and you still have whatever you searched off of Raisin to potentially keep going off. And that's going to do it for the deck profile. I'm actually pretty content with how this build is playing so far. This is after doing a little bit of tinkering, cutting things like the third Fenrir and such. I'm not going to ramble on any longer. We've already been going over this for a good while. Let's go ahead and get right to some replays to see this deck in action. Alright, so we're in a game against Kaiser, which is kind of funny considering our boss monster's name. We actually lost rock, paper, scissors, which is interesting if they make me go second, and they didn't actually. Wow. So I was going to say it's interesting to make me go second because I haven't gone second with this deck very often. But we're going to start with normal summoning our Dr. Madlove with this hand. Doesn't look like any Ash or Imperm or anything like that. I think I'm going to go ahead and add a Trinity Burst just for an additional disruption because we already have access to our Dust Devil. And next, I think I'm going to go Heavy Border effect, adding back our Dr. Madlove from our field to our hand. And this is so we can activate the effect of Heavy Border, revealing the Dr. Madlove in order to draw just a free card, which is amazing considering how many hand traps we play. So let's go ahead and see what we get here. A Vanquish Soul Pluton HG, not the best card, but it is something. We're then going to link off our Heavy Border into our Rock of Vanquisher, using our Rock of Vanquisher to add our Heavy Border directly from our grave to our hand. Looks like they kind of had a response there, maybe, unless that was just EDO Pro. I don't know. But I think now all we're going to do is set 4 and pass. So definitely a bit interesting because this seems more like a mid-range deck than anything, but really it's just such a control deck with its resource game. And are they thinking about surrendering here because I'm setting 4? That could be kind of annoying. I had the last person surrender that I actually tried to go against because they ended up passing on like one card. So we have HG for a free body from hand, but I think I'm just going to wait for Trinity Burst. And then we also have Tick Boo, and Tick Boo is going to be very important here. I think, okay, yeah, I'm just going to go ahead and straight go for the Tick Boo here. I don't really like showcasing Tick Boo with the deck because, I mean, obviously, it's just going to end up hard powering over a lot of things. But they can at least go for some plays here. End of the main phase, we're going to go ahead and use our Rock of Vanquisher. We're going to special a Vanquish Soul from our hand. I'm going to go for the Vanquish Soul Dr. Madlove. To activate the Madlove's effect, I'm going to grab a Continue from our deck here if it allows it. Oh, looks like we're eating an Ash Blossom here, which is perfectly fine, honestly. I'm still going to go ahead and chain a Heavy Border, though, adding back the Dr. Madlove directly to our hand to special it to our side of the field. And I'm then going to attempt to... Oh, never mind. I forgot I had always pause turned off. But now I'm going to use the effect of Heavy Border in order to draw one card. So this is going to be really nice. Let's see what we can draw into here. Drawing into another Madlove isn't that amazing, but I think I'm going to go ahead and use... I'm going to go ahead and allow them actually to go into battle phase here, because I don't really feel like wasting one of my disruptions, because if I bounce it, they're just going to special it again. If I book it, they're just going to fusion summon off because there's no longer a face-up machine. So they have to attack the Border, thankfully, so we do get to keep our Rock of Vanquisher. And it looks like we're going for a Therian Disc Coliseum. I think that's fine here. I don't really have any way to stop it. Again, I feel really bad for the Tick Boo because the Tick Boo just ends up, like, shutting down a lot of your really cool stuff, and it just kind of makes you sit on Tick Boo. But, okay, it looks like we opened Stake Your Soul. Stake Your Soul is going to be amazing here. We're going to use it to reveal our Pluton HG so that we can special a Raisin directly from the deck here. So the Raisin is, of course, going to allow us to add any Vanquish Soul directly from our deck to our hand. And we also have a Fire and a Dark in our hand, so we can pop this Cyber Dragon for absolutely free. I'm going to go ahead and grab Kaiser Various because we want access to our really beefy boss monsters here. Now I'm going to activate the effect of Raisin to nuke all monsters in the cards column, revealing the Madlove and Pluton HG in our hand. This is going to destroy the Cyber Dragon, making their field completely clean. We're also going to use Rock of Vanquisher to add a Vanquish Soul back from our grave to our hand. I'm going to add back the Heavy Border here so that we can go for our normal summon on our Madlove, which is then going to grab a Continue, if we can go ahead and get that here. Normal summon Madlove, activate effect here. grabbing a Continue from our deck. This doesn't have to be during the main phase, by the way, so we can use it during the battle phase after getting rid of something. So now we don't have to use Mad Love's effect here, so I'm just going to go ahead and use Heavy Borger. Bouncing the Dr. Mad Love. I should have summoned the Pluton HG, not gonna lie, for the free Kaiser Various, but that's just on me. So now I think I would like to use Heavy Borger in order to inflict 1500 damage to my opponent by revealing Pluton HG and Kaiser Various. So this is going to put them down to 6500 life points. Now meaning that I can go for, I think, I'm going to go for the Kaiser Various on our Vanquish Soul Raisin. I'm going to bounce it back to the hand and get a free special summon there, and it looks like they're going to scoop. I mean, yeah, otherwise I was just going to be me playing solitaire for the next like 2 minutes until I killed him. But that's a little bit of a showcase here of how powerful Tick-Boo is, but I think overall I would have been perfectly fine even with just my regular disruptions. Alright, our next game is against Napo, and let's see if we can win the rock, paper, scissors here. Awesome, we did get to win. So we're going to go ahead and go first here, and I think I'm going to immediately start with a Stake Your Soul. Revealing a Vanquish Soul Dr. Mad Love. I probably should have went for Prosperity first to try and get an Ash off the top, but getting a free Heavy Borger, obviously, there's nothing better. I'm going to go ahead and then afterwards use Prosperity. I'm just going to go for 3 here. You don't really care too much. I'm just going to get rid of the Exciton, the Dawn Dragster, and the Rock of Vanquisher. So, I mean, we don't get to use Borger's effect, but it's perfectly fine. So this actually ended up being a pretty terrible Excavate, but I'm going to grab Trinity Burst because it is the best bet that we have there. And then next, I'm going to normal summon Vanquish Soul Dr. Mad Love, activating the effect of Dr. Mad Love to add any spell or trap from our deck to our hand. I'm going to add our Dust Devil, and then I think afterwards, I might just go ahead and link off the Heavy Borger into our Rock of Vanquisher. That way I can go Rock of Vanquisher effect to add a Vanquish Soul from our graveyard to our hand. This is going to add the Heavy Borger back from our graveyard, and keep in mind next turn our special summon effect is live. And I'm going to set the Tick-Boo and the Trinity Burst alongside the Dust Devil, and I'm going to pass my turn. Hopefully it's a deck that doesn't care too much about Tick-Boo, because I really don't feel good ending on Tick-Boo all the time. Ooh, High Ritual Art. Ritual summon any monster from your deck, tribute no monsters from hand. Is this going to summon a Chaos Max? Interesting, because we actually have an out to Chaos Max here in the form of the Dust Devil because it does not target. Ignite Templar. Magikey Musket Vatos Buster. Okay, this is kinda interesting, not gonna lie. So this is 2200 defense, unfortunately. I wish it said attack or defense you can choose, but we can't use the thing there. This is going to grab any back row. I think I'm just going to go ahead and use Heavy Borger to add back our Dr. Mad Love to our hand. Okay, go ahead and special summon it to our side of the field. Probably should have put it in defense, but I mean, whatever. I can just special the Mad Love from hand with the Rock of Vanquisher or the Trinity Burst anyway. I missed the timing of my Always Pause. I was going to use Always Pause in order to bounce this back to the hand. So they're going to get the Moth Teal here, and I think it really depends on what they go for here. So I'm going to go for the Heavy Borger effect to draw a card. And also, Tick-Boo doesn't seem to be doing anything too crazy, but I think I'm just going to go ahead and flip it up anyways, just as a precaution. So let's go ahead and get that going. And then, let's see, on summon, it just gives you an additional normal summon. Okay. Oh wait, does it not special itself from the hand? Does it just reveal and give you an additional normal? I didn't really pay too much attention to it. I don't really know what the Magikey stuff does other than Vatos Buster and the Counter Trap. Basically, all I need him to do... Ooh, Draco Slayer cards. Interesting. Oh, the Ignite stuff. Okay, Ignite stuff. So, basically what I'm waiting for him to do is to summon a monster to either this column or this column, so I can use a Trinity Burst. I know what Ignis Phoenix does, so I shouldn't be, like, waiting on it for too long. But keep in mind, we also have the Dust Devil just in case. Ooh, alright, so we have a full Pendulum Scale here now. And Ignis Phoenix is live as well. I'm pretty sure it can nuke itself, right? You can shuffle face up pen. Okay, never mind. It's the other ones that pop the Ignis, and then Ignis floats when it's popped. So, okay, this pops both and then adds something, and then the Ignis Phoenix will trigger. All right. I'm trying to learn more about, like, Pendulum stuff, because Pendulum can be kind of a nightmare to go against if you don't know what they do. I know what most of the Draco Slayer stuff does, though, because our friend on the channel, Chris, actually plays it. I'd get a deck profile from him, but he already switched back to Drytron because he wants to be the bane of our existence. Adding Brave Beauty of Ruby Regard Bradamante. So, this is a kind of new Infernoble card. It's not from the newest wave that we covered, but it is relatively new. I'm very intrigued as to what's going on here. So they are playing a lot of warriors, so they can only get one warrior on board. Thankfully, that's going to be pretty good for me. They're getting the Majesty Pegasus this time. So Pegasus being able to search for any field spell. They're probably going to search for the Infernoble Field spell, maybe? That can be interesting. But I think now I'm going to... Oh, I used the wrong one. Oopsies. Aw, man, that's on me. I ended up screwing that up. So I was supposed to use the Trinity Burst, but I clicked on the wrong card. I think overall, though, it's still fine. So I'm going to go ahead and special summon a Mad Love to the side of the field here. And then I'm going to just go ahead and book both of these. Might as well get 2 level 4s off the board there. This will also trigger the effect of Dr. Mad Love as well, which is pretty nice. So we can grab a continue for next turn so we can continue our turn. So, like I said, they're probably going to add the Infernoble Field spell, right? Oh no, Magikey World. I forgot they have a field spell. On activation, add a Magikey monster. First time each non-token or monster you control be destroyed by battle card effect is destroyed. During your main phase, you can add a Magikey Maftia from your deck to your hand. I think that's the genie thing he revealed already. And I didn't get to read all of it. Bradamonte, blah blah blah, in the grave, blah blah blah. Okay. Okay, and then place a card from hand on the bottom of the deck. Alright. So it looks like we're going to be in a pretty good situation anyway, because remember, this isn't a permanent book, but he can't flip them back face up this same turn. All right, so another Batos Buster was added. I wonder what's going to happen next. So we have the Batos Buster in hand. We already have that field spot. I know we have the Maftia in hand as well. Oh no, that's the Maftia. I thought the Genie thing was the Maftia. Okay, I'm actually kind of stupid. This is going to Ritual Summon another Batos Buster. Is it not a hard once per turn? It's not. Oh no. On summon it is a hard once per turn. Okay. But let's see. Okay. Still only my stuff has the lowest defense. Unfortunately, Heavy Borger has the lowest defense. Interesting. Okay, so that's why I can't use the Trinity Burst. I forgot to mention that they have to have the different original attributes from the targeted monster, so that ends up being why we can't use the Trinity Burst. Okay, that makes a lot of sense. Okay, this is Moff Teal. All right. So this 1300 defense. All right, I'm going to use Mad Love's effect to reduce something. Interesting. Okay, so they ended up just scooping off the bat. I don't know why. Maybe they thought it was the bounce. I was just going to use the effect to reduce stats on the Batos Buster. But that's another W in my book. So misplay on my part, thinking I could use the Trinity Burst, but I'm not the best pilot of any of these decks that I ever showcase. So just keep that in mind if you want to try out this deck for yourself. All right, we got a game against player now. Let's see if we can make this the final and third W of the video. We did win the die roll, but our hand isn't looking too amazing. We do get the effect of Dr. Mad Love here, activating her effect in order to search. Doesn't look like they have any sort of disruption there. I'm going to go ahead and add a Dust Devil. Dust Devil always being like one of the best things that we can go for. I'm then going to use the Kaiser Various to bounce back the Dr. Mad Love, to special the Kaiser Various to our side of the field, and we do have every single attribute here, but I think I'm just going to go ahead and go straight for the Rock of Vanquisher, and I'm then going to use the Rock of Vanquisher in order to add back a Vanquish Soul from my grave to my hand. This is going to be the Kaiser Various, of course, so we can have all of our things back in our hand. And I'm then going to set the There Can Be Only One that I seem to be drawing literally every single game, as well as the Dust Devil, and I'm going to pass turn there. So, again, very simplistic end board. I mean, even without the Tick Boo, it'd be even more simplistic, but it's going to be very, very effective. Just watch. So, let's see what they go ahead and start with. Immediately, we're going to Rock of Vanquisher, by the way, and then use our Kaiser Various. So, it looks like we're starting with a Sunvine Sowing. As much as I hate it, I'm going to flip Tick Boo here, and I'm going to use Rock of Vanquisher to special the Mad Love from the deck, from the hand to our side of the field, and then get a free search afterwards. So Sunvine Sowing is going to summon the Losi, I'm pretty sure. However, they're not going to be able to link off in anything as well as they're locked, so Tick Boo is just such a nasty card, y'all. When are we going to get rid of this card? I'm also going to use the Kaiser Various to add the Dr. Mad Love back to our hand, meaning we get the Kaiser Various on board instead of the Dr. Mad Love, which also protects it from any sort of removal or anything like that. We also get our Continue off our Dr. Mad Love, and because we have an Earth, Fire, and a Dark, our Kaiser Various is live in case they have anything else. Please have main deck back removal. I really want you to. Generaider Boss Quest. What? Okay. Reveal a Generaider monster in hand, and if you do, add up to 2 Generaider spells or traps with different names from each other, and then place the revealed card on the bottom of the deck. So we're revealing the Nidhogg. Nidhogg is the Summon Negate. I always mix them all up, except for I think I know Har is like the Omni Negate. and then obviously Lopter is the one that summons them. So I'm assuming we're going to add our field spell here, right? It'd be kind of a crime not to add the field spell. The cool thing though is that because we have Tick Boot up, they can't utilize the full effect of their field spell. I've been sitting here for the past like 5 minutes waiting for them to resolve their search. I love EDO Pro. Well, seeing as I'm going to count that as a W because I had the Tick Boot, Dust Devil, and all the follow-up in the world, as well as Kaiser Various to pop the field spell, that's going to do it for the replays. So I wish I could have gotten a few like actual better replays, especially ones that didn't rely on there can be only one. I mean, this deck can function really well without it. I just can't believe I saw it literally every single game. That's kind of crazy. But overall, I think this deck is really, really cool, and I think it has some serious potential, especially if it gets a future wave of support. I think if it got something similar to what Makanko and Purely and kinda Rescue Ace did, where it got like at least 2 new decent cards, honestly, I'd personally like to see like a field spell for Mad Love to search and a new good dark monster, considering you don't really have any good dark hand traps to take advantage of. Bystials are dead, don't mention Bystials. Also, literally like the day of or like the day after the set came out, this deck actually won an event over in the OCG. Granted, the event was a little bit smaller, but I think it was a pretty good showcase of what the deck can do. It's also what got me to start playing the Prosperities, but I'm really, really excited for this deck to come out so I can test it out at my local scene. I'm just really hoping it doesn't fall under the deck build pack syndrome where the ultras end up being stupid expensive because no one opens the set or because no one wants these cards. I know that sounds like a bit of backwards logic, but I don't know, deck build packs just aren't what they used to be. But go back to Prank Kids where the most expensive card was 20 bucks. But yeah, I'm really, really excited to see what this deck can do, and I think it can honestly steal some YCS and regional tops when people aren't looking. But I don't know, that's just my opinion. Let me know your sound in the comments below because that's going to do for the video. If you'd like to, please sure to leave a like as I'll put this video and the channel into your recommended. And if you like this video and you want to see more like it, like the rest of my replay series, then perhaps consider subscribing because we're on our way to 5,000 subscribers by the end of 2023. Not to mention, it supports the channel more than anything else and it's absolutely free. But once again, thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. This is Aurora, signing off.